Begin the for Sanhedrin. It's Daf Hey, Sanhedrin Daf Hey, and of course, it's such a special bracha to be able to do it wherever we do it. But today we're going to do it from a car as we're waiting to pick up our daughter at a train station. So Tan Rabbanan, we're going to start on the last line on Dalet Amabeis. Tan Rabbanan Dine Mamanos Bishlosha. So monetary cases have to be decided in front of three. We're on top of Hamid Aleph, and Daf Yomi is dedicated for Shemir for the Chayalim, that's all for the Shliim and Yeshua for Am Yisrael. But if the person is an expert, then even as a single judge, he's able to do it. And Amar Rav Nachman could go on Anna, Dan Dini Mamonos Bichidi. Rav Nachman says, like I can do it even as an individual. Amar could go on Anna, Dan Dini Mamonos Bichidi. I can even judge it as an individual. Where asked the question, what does it mean like I? Could go on Anna de Gamirna Vesavirna, like I who am learned, and also I know how to add on to questions, and I know I'm on top of Hey Amid Aleph. I'm learning and I know logic, so I can do it by myself. Is that what it means? Vinakina Rishusa, and I have permission from the head of the diaspora, from the Reish Galusa. I have a permission to adjudicate it by myself. Or maybe what it means is Odilma Afagavdul Nakit Rishusa. Dine Dina, or because I'm so learned, even though I don't have permission from the Reish Galusa, I can judge by myself. So the Gemara says, Tashma the Marzutra, Bereder of Nachman, Dad and Tine Vitar. Marzutra, the son of Rav Nachman, he adjudicated a case and he made a mistake. Also, Kamed Rav Yosef. He came to Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Im kibluchu alayu, if they accepted you upon themselves as their judge, lo teshalim, then you don't have to pay. But otherwise, if they didn't accept you upon themselves, zil shalem, because you had no permission, if they didn't accept your mistakes upon themselves, that they said, go be our judge, you have to pay. However, the decision is still going to be valid, because since you are Gomer Versavir, since you're learned and logical, even though without the permission of the Reish Gus, it's a valid logic. Shmamina, Kilonika Rishusa, we see from here that even though you don't have permission from the Reish Galusa, Dine Dina, your law is valid. Shmamina. Amarav, Aiman Debayim Meidan Dina, Vitai Mibai Lifter. If a person wants to adjudicate a case, but yet if he's going to be found make a mistake, he'll be exempt. Lishkol Rishusa Mibai Reish Galusa. Let him ask permission from the Reish Galusa. V'chinam Rishmuel, Lishkol Rishusa Mibai so he should ask permission. Gemara says, Pshita, it's obvious. It's obvious in Babylon to adjudicate in Babylon, or in Eretz Israel to adjudicate a case in Eretz Israel, then it's going to work. But mahani, and also if you have permission from the Reish Galusa in Babylon and you want to go rule in Eretz Israel, that also works. But the question is, the mahani, why? Because here where the pasuk calls us a shevet, a staff, and there in Eretz Yisrael they're called a scepter. The staff will not depart from Judah. These are the heads of the diaspora. They rule Jewish people with a shevet, and a scepter from between their feet. This refers to the grandchildren of Hillel, that they teach the Torah in public. And Hillel was the Nasi in Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, we see Eretz Yisrael, it's called the Mechokek. From there, from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, do you need special permission? The question is, from basically, if you have permission, Eretz Yisrael, can you give the ruling in Bavel? Tashman Rabbi Rachana done Dina V'ta. Rabbi Rachana made a ruling and he made a mistake. Also, coming to Rabbi Chia, he came before Rabbi Chia. Amar Rabbi Chia said, "Ikibu chalayu lo teshalim." Rabbi Chia said, if they accepted you upon themselves, you don't have to pay. V'lo zil shalem, otherwise you have to pay. He had permission before he went to Bavel. We see from here that if you have permission, Eretz Yisrael, and then you come to Bavel, it doesn't help. Shmamina. So the Gemara says, "V'lo mahani." Does it really not help? V'ha Rabbi Bar Afuna ki ave minse b'hadei de beidina the Reish Galusa. When Rabbi Bar Afuna was fighting with those who were from the Reish Galusa, Amar Lav minaychuna nakin Rishusa. Nakin Rishusa me Abimari says, I don't get permission from you. I got permission from from Abimari. Abimari me Rav, Rav me Rebbe, Rebbe me Rebbe. He said, I have permission all the way going back to Rebbe, not from you. So the Gemara says, no, he was just speaking words. He didn't have any real authority. So the Gemara says, well, if the permission the Rabbi Bar Chana got wasn't valid, then why did he bother getting permission? Gemara explains, it wasn't good for Bavel, but it was good for those cities that were basically, it was good for those cities that were on the borders with Bavel. So the Gemara says, "My Rishu." So what is this permission that Rabbi Bar Chana got? What was this authority that he had? The Gemara says, "Kevin Nachas Rabbi Bar Chana Bavel." When Rabbi Bar Chana went to Bavel, Amalei Rabbi Chilo, Rabbi Ben Rabbi. So Rabbi Chilo said to Rabbi, "Ben Achi Yored LeBavel." Rabbi Chilo said to Rabbi, the son of my brother is going down to Bavel, and so therefore Yorah, can he get permission to be Yorah? What is Yorah? She says, Easter veheter, what's permitted was prohibited. And Rabbi said Yorah. And Rabbi said, yes, I give him smicha for that. Yadin, can he be a judge with permission and be exempt from having to pay? He says Yadin. Yatir Bechoros, can he look at the blemishes of a firstborn and say that this is a fixed blemish and therefore you're allowed to slaughter it? And that the Kohen is able to slaughter it, because in the days of Rebbe, Rashi reminds us that the firstborn had no solution unless the animal got a mum, because there was no base of mikdash anymore. So he says, Yatir. He gave Rav Bar Chana permission to give such a ruling. Having Nachas Rav Bavel, but when Rav went down to Bavel, Amalei Rebbe Chil or Rebbe Chil said to Rebbe, Ben Achosi Yorei Bavel. This time it's the son of my sister is going down. Yora, Yadin, Yatir Bechoros, Al Yatir. Rav did not get permission to be Matir Bechoros. Maishno Amar. So first thing I ask, why is Rabbi Bar Chana called Kari ben Achi? Maishno Amar, the Kari ben Achosi. Why is one called the son of his brother and the other one called the son of his sister? If you want to say, well, that's actually what their status was. V'amar Mar Aibu v'Chana v'Shilo Marta v'Rebbi Chia Kulu b'nei Abba bar Acha. Karslam and Kafri Abba. They were all siblings, and so therefore they were all the brothers. So the Gemara says, Rav bar Achua Davi bar Achte. Rav was the son of the brother of Rebbe Chia, but also the son of the sister, meaning Rebbe Chia had two half siblings that married each other, which is of course permitted because they weren't in themselves related. Whereas Rav bar Chana Achua, the Rav bar Achte, he was the brother, but he was not the son of the sister, and so therefore called him bar Achua. V'baya Sema, or alternatively, Al Shem Chachma. So we called him that. He called Rabbi Bar Chana the son of his brother, but he called Rav the son of his sister because he was so smart. He was smarter, and therefore he called him the son of his sister because it says, "Emor l'chachma achosiat." Say to my sister, say to wisdom, you are my sister. Yatir b'choros al yatir. Why didn't Rav then get permission to release the firstborn animal so that the Kohen could eat them? My time, if you want to say he wasn't smart, we say he was very smart. We just said he was smarter. He was the Barachosi. He was smarter. You want to say he wasn't an expert in blemishes? Says for 18 months I stayed on a farm to know which is a type of blemish that's a passing blemish and which is a permanent blemish. No, he wanted to make sure that Rav Bar Chana had enough wisdom, had enough honor, so he gave him a special area to be the ruler. And that was in animals. No, that's the reason, because that Rav was such an expert, he didn't give him the smicha. The Rav Bekia b'mumei tfei. Rav was even more of an expert than Rav Bar Chana. And so he would allow blemishes that people wouldn't understand. They thought, oh, Rav allowed it in this case. Also a mishrei mum over, and then they would come to permit a passing blemish. And so therefore, because Rav knew so much, precisely for that reason, he didn't give him permission. Yora, what does it mean that he was a Yora? So Gemara says, so the Gemara is asking the question, Yora, that he gave him permission to rule about Isser v'Heter. So the Gemara says, well, why do you need permission? Higamer, if you're learned, Rishus Olamali, Mishko, why do you need to take permission if you already know the halacha? The Gemara says, Mishum Ma'aseh, because there was once an incident. Titania Pama Achas Halach Rabbi L'makom Echad. Rabbi went to a specific place. Rabbi Adam Shemegabom Iso Seim Betuma. These are the people where they're kneading their dough and utensils that were tamei. So Amalei Ne'ama Tem. He says, why are you kneading your utensils in something that's tamei? And they said, oh, there was a student, a scholar, he came here. He said to us, he said, if it's water that's made from swamp water, it can't become tamei. So he said, it's not a problem. But the rabbi didn't actually say that. The student who came to them said, beitzim darish lahu. He said, eggs don't make the dough capable of becoming tamei. And so therefore, v'inu made b'tzayim kamer. They thought he said swamp water, v'to, and so therefore they made a mistake. Nami baha. And they also said may there's another mistake they made. What was their other mistake? They said may karmionu, may pega psuin, mimnei shein may. V'inu savar milo gabechatas pasli achshurin amilo machshurin. And another mistake was they said make kermayon, and these are swamp water are disqualified because they are water. But they thought, well, since with respect to the carbon chatas, not the carbon chatas, the paraduma, they're disqualified. So therefore, but so therefore they can also make something capable of contracting tamaf. It's not the case. With respect to the red heifer, we need specifically spring water. But here with respect to making something capable of becoming tamei, we just need it to be capable of basically this liquid of water, and so therefore, even if it's swamp water, it's capable of contracting tuma. And Tanim Bosashah goes with Talmud Al Yora Elam Kain No Torishos Mirabo. So at that point, they made a decree that a student cannot give a halachic ruling unless he has permission from his teacher. And because the point is, we're worried he's going to say something not in a clear manner, and people will confuse it. So they made the mistake about Mei B'tzayim, and they made the mistake about other swamp waters called Mei Karmion or Mei Pega. We see from here that the rabbi's responsibility. I hope I'm able to do this. Obviously, I struggle so much like everybody, but you have to explain it very clearly, and that's the part. It's not just how much Gemara you know, it's whether or not you're able to explain it in a clear manner. Tanchum Bered Rabbi Ami Ikla Lechatar. So he came to this place. So Tanchum, the son of Rabbi Ami, came to this place called Chater, and he expounded for them. Mutter also schitim b'Pesach. He said you're allowed to soak the wheat kernels on Pesach. Amar lo, Rav Mani de Minsur Ika Hachavetanya. And so it wasn't Rav Mani de Minsur. He was here and he taught in the Brisa Talmud Al Yareh Halacha El B'Mkom Rabo. That the student is not allowed to teach in the place where his Rebbe unless he's 3 parsecs away, like the corresponding to the camp of Israel. Because whoever had a question would go to Moshe Rabbeinu. So only if he's farther away than that could he ask somebody else. So Amalu Avadaite. So he said, "Oh, I didn't know either. I didn't know that, but most likely it means I didn't know that he was within 3 parsecs from me." Rabbi Chia saw that there was a certain man that was standing in the cemetery. Amar said to him, Rav ben Ish Boni Kohen, aren't you a Kohen? Aren't you the son of this man who was a Kohen? He said, yes, he says, yeah, but my father basically lusted after his eyes. He said it in a nicer manner, but I was just trying to explain it. But he said in a euphemistic manner that his father sinned by marrying a divorcee. He married a divorcee, and therefore I'm not a Kohen. He made me a cholol. So therefore, what is this incident doing here? So presumably, Rashi says, "Lois parashal my bayach." I don't know why it's here, but I think it's because that's coming to teach us that even though Rebbe Chia was a student of Rebbe and he was in his place to Rebbe, he didn't say, I'm not going to tell this guy not to do a prohibition because I have to wait for a Rebbe. Because with respect to keeping somebody away from a sin, that's not considered Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabo. That's the first explanation that Rashi gives. Or else, alternative explanation is that maybe it's a different girsa. And where it says Pshito Apalga Ka'amar Demahani. So it's obviously the case that, like Rav, you get permission, you don't get a full smicha, you get a smicha for Yora, Yada, Yada, but not Yatir B'choros. Well, that's obviously the case that works. But what about tonight? What about giving somebody smicha on a condition? My Tashma, Damli Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Shimon, Hadar, Asaber, Shusenu, Acha Tavo Eslenu. He said, Hare Ataber, Shusenu, you have our permission to give rulings until you come close to us. So that it works also. Gufa Amar Shmuel Shnaim Shadanu Dinei and Din Al Shanikra Bezdin Chasav. Shmuel says two people give a ruling. It's called a judgment, except there are Bezdin Chasav, and this is going to be the Daf Yomi for tomorrow. So we'll get into that tomorrow, and God willing, we'll discuss that then. All right, big shkoyach to everybody. We'll stop here. And big thank you to everybody for coming on. Obviously, this is a very important sugya about rabbis, why they should be rabbis, how they get ordination, under what circumstances. And tomorrow is a beautiful sugya as well. So thank you for your patience. And tomorrow, God willing, be in the base, giving the shiurim then.
Travel safely.
Thank you.